Assalamu alaikum everybody and welcome back to Learn to Read Quran, where we're going through this course inshallah so that we can learn right from the beginning how to read Arabic without having had any knowledge of Arabic before, and inshallah by the end of this course to be able to read Quran correctly. So today we're moving on to Unit 4A, the vowels. There are three vowels in Arabic, and the first one that we're looking at is called the Fatha. You don't need to know that, it's a bit of extra information, but sometimes it's nice to know some terminology, and I've tried to keep the amount of terminology that I use in this course to a minimum. So we're going to start by looking at all of the alphabet with the fatha. Now, if you look at the alphabet and you think to yourself, ooh, there's a few of these letters that I'm not quite sure about, then please stop right here and go back to lesson one. You must, by this stage, know the alphabet inside out. Otherwise, you're going to struggle as we go further with this course. So yeah, so if you don't know the alphabet, go back to lesson one, have a look at that. Now, I always tell all my students, and I've been teaching Quran for over 20 years, that everybody learns differently. So if you find that it's easier to learn to write things out, then go ahead, write out the alphabet. And one tip is while you're writing it out, say it at the same time, and it solidifies that information in your brain and in the neural pathways without getting too specific. And yeah, so that might help you to learn what you're looking at. Sometimes it helps to have people write it out, stick it up on the fridge, so every time they see it, they have to test themselves. Whichever way you learn best, learn the alphabet. Make sure it's absolutely solid. Even if you have to say it while you're in the house out loud, even if your family thinks you've gone mad, doesn't matter. Just keep on repeating it so that you know it. So, okay, so here we go. We're going to start with the vowels. Now, the fatha is this mark that's written above each of the letters that you can see of the alphabet. So far, what we did is that we recognized the letter Hamza, didn't we? We said that we're going to recognize it, but we're not going to say any more about it. Now we have to talk a little bit more about it. The Hamza is written here on top of the Alif. And we've said before that Hamza likes to get carried, small but needy. It will get carried either on a letter Alif or a letter Wow or a letter Ya. Now, typically, when you write out the alphabet like this, it's always put at the beginning on the alif. So when I'm going to pronounce the fatha, I'm actually going to pronounce the hamza with the fatha. It's a not short, it's a sharp noise, and you'll hear me reciting it now. This is me reciting the hamza with the fatha noise. Ah. So the fatha, this slanted line above the hamza here and above all the other letters, is the way that a fatha is written. And what that actually produces is it produces an ah noise above each of the letters. So I think without further ado, I'm actually going to go through the alphabet, and I think as I go through it, you will understand how this fatha, this vowel, is working. So first of all, on line 2 here, we have the letter ba, don't we? So the letter ba with an a noise above it becomes ba. Then I'm going to look at the letter ta. It has the a noise above it, so it becomes ta. Then I have the letter tha with the a noise above it. It becomes tha. Now, so far, that line just sounds like I'm repeating the names of the letters. But when I move on to line 3, and I've got the letter Jeem with the A above it, what I'm going to do is, with all of them, I do this. You use the very first sound of the letter and you apply the A noise to it. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm looking at Jeem. So Jeem with an A noise above it is Ja. So can you hear? I'm not saying Jim-a. I'm not using the first or the full name of the letter. I'm using the very first sound of Jim, which is the j noise at the beginning, and I'm putting the a of the vowel above it, the fatha above it. So I get ja. Then I've got ha with the vowel above it becomes ha. Then I've got ha. Now, hopefully, if you've looked at that alphabet page that was on lesson 1 enough times, you'll know that this on that page was written in a red color. because this is a thick, heavy letter, and we know that there's 7 of those that are in the alphabet. So this one here, the ha with the ah noise above it. Now listen to this carefully. This becomes ha. So you can hear, I'm not saying ha. The whole of the vowel becomes thick and heavy. So this is ha when I'm pronouncing it with the fatha noise, with the ah noise above it. Okay, I'll carry on. This is line 4, and I've got the letter dal. Dal with the ah noise above it. I use the very beginning sound of dal, and what's that? It's like a D noise, isn't it? So it becomes da. Then I've got the letter val, and with its ah noise above it, it becomes the. Then I've got the ra, the letter ra. Remember that one? It was in a different color as well on the alphabet page. So this is thick and heavy. And when it has the ah noise above it, the ah noise becomes thick and heavy as well. So the whole thing together becomes ra. Yeah, I'll do it again. Ra. You can hear the ah noise become an ah noise because the thickness of the ha and the ra that we've done just now, it applies itself to the sound of the vowel as well. And lastly on this line, we've got the letter za, or like I said, sometimes it can be called zay. And with the fatha, the ah noise above it becomes za. Okay, let's move on. On line 5, I've got the letter seen. And hopefully you'll be able to know by now. I'm just going to use the very beginning sound of the name of that letter. So the beginning sound of seen is a s noise, isn't it? So s with an ah noise above becomes sa. Then I've got sheen. And again, I use the beginning noise of that with the ah noise above it becomes sha. Then I've got sod. This is one of those thick, heavy letters. So you can guess that that thickness, that heaviness is going to apply to the ah noise above it. So instead of sa, I will get sa. The whole of the fatha, the whole of the ah noise becomes thick and heavy because of the thickness, the thickening up of the back of the tongue to make this letter. Then I've got dod with the fatha ah noise becomes da. Line 6. This is the letter ba, nice and thick and heavy. With its ah noise above it becomes ba. So you can hear this ah noise is quite short. It's not elongated. It's what I would call, if you were doing things rhythmically, it's a one beat noise. So ba. Then let's have a look at the letter va. With its ah noise above it, it will come thick and heavy, as hopefully you'll have understood that by now. Va. Okay, so this one was va. Then I've got ein. Now ein with its ah noise becomes ah. So you sound out the ein and you've got the ah. Ah. Then I've got rein, which we know is thick and heavy. It was in red on that alphabet page at the beginning. And with its fatha on top, the short noise, the ah short noise above it, the whole of that short ah noise will become thick and heavy. So you get ro. Then here we go, on line 7, we've got fa, and with its short ah noise above it, we get fa. Then the last of the thick, heavy letters, when we're going through the alphabet, the letter off, you get o. So that short noise above it, the ah noise, became thick and heavy because that tongue at the back is thickened up to make the o. Then I've got kaf, and with its short ah noise above it, you get ka. And the letter lam here on line 8 with its short ah noise above it becomes la. The letter meme with its ah noise above it becomes ma, because the beginning of the word meme starts with a m noise, so I put that with the ah of the fatha and I get ma. Then I've got the letter noon and I put the short ah noise with it, I get na. Then at the bottom here, I've got ha, and with its short ah noise, I get ha. Then I've got wow, and when I put the short fatha ah noise above it, I get wa. Then I've got ya, and remember when it's in its full form, it doesn't have any dots. Hopefully you'll have gone through the letter forms lessons to know that. And it has the short ah noise above it, the short fatha noise above it, you get ya. So that's the full alphabet with the short fatha noise. Let's have a look at it again. I'm going to read it as I go through, and I'm just going to read them now with fatha, with the short ah noise each time. So, a, ba, ta, tha, ja, ha, ha, da, za, ra, za, sa, sha, sa, ta. I'll do that one again actually, just in case it wasn't clear enough. Da, ta, va, a, ra, fa, qa, ka, la, ma, na, ha, wa, ya. So in today's lesson, we've covered all of the alphabet with one of the vowels, which is the fatha, and this is that little diagonal line above each of the letters. And we know that the noise is an ah noise, which can actually become an o noise when it's linked to a thick, heavy letter. And so go through the lesson a few times if you need to, and then move on, and we'll do an exercise where we will confirm and consolidate this this new concept that we've learned. Okay, so assalamu alaikum and see you next time, inshallah.